So today is day one of stem cell collection. We are collecting my stem cells because the chemotherapy regimen that I'll be going through, called BEAM, is very lethal and will wipe out all my cells as well as bone marrow. So these stem cells will be put back into me after the chemo, and that'll help me to rebuild my immune system. So I'll be starting from scratch. So it's taken a lot to get here today. Yesterday we came in with possibly the hopes of starting then, but it turned out that my blood counts were pretty low, my platelets were low, and my red blood cells were low, so I was quite anemic. My hematocrit was low, so I was very weak, very tired, which explains why I've been so tired the past few days before this. So it made me feel a little better. So I had a transfusion of platelets, and also a transfusion of red blood cells. And then I came down here to the apheresis room yesterday, and the nurses looked at my veins, and unfortunately, as feared, they found that they were too hardened and scarred for them to be able to use, because the apheresis machine pulls out blood at a very, very rapid rate, so they need to have a very strong vein. Unfortunately, after all the ABVD chemo, mine are not strong enough. So once it was determined that my veins weren't usable, the next step was I had to go through a surgical procedure yesterday to get this thing shoved into my neck with this two valves here. This is called a Quinton catheter. It's different from my port that I have in my chest. My port is just, they're able to draw blood from it and insert things in it, but it's only one valve. So I got my transfusions through the port, and they've just kept it accessed so that I can get fluids and antibiotics and whatever else I might need. But this Quinton catheter, as you can see, has two little guys hanging off of it, because this is how the apheresis machine works. It's all very cyclical. So out of one of these pieces of the catheter, it's pulling out my blood, and the blood goes down through the tube and ends up in this crazy, funky looking machine here called the apheresis machine. And it goes through all these different mechanisms. It goes into this drawer down here where there's some centrifuge going on. And what it does is it goes by the density of the blood cells. So all the different types of blood cells, red cells, white cells, and the stem cells have different weights to them. So it's going through and trying to just pull out the stem cells. So that's happening down in there, and you can see my bag of stem cells starting to be collected right up top here. So that's what it's pulled out so far. The goal is to get all stem cells, but there's probably some red blood cells and platelets mixed in there as well, which is fine. She explained it as like going down a highway, and there's a slow lane, medium lane, and fast lane. They also look at the G-forces of the cells in addition to their density, so it's pretty interesting how it can actually separate that out. Then once those cells are separated, they go back down another tube, and that's why we need this second valve in the Quinton catheter, because then my filtered blood goes back into my body. So it's going to actually be circulating all the blood in my body, which I understand is about 4 liters. It's going to be circulating that blood 3 different times, and that's about the maximum that they can do in a day before the output isn't high enough. So I'll be hooked up to this machine for about 4 hours. The number of stem cells that I need, the 7.5 to 10 million, is based on my height and weight. And we know that I may be able to get this many as early as today because they look at an indicator number called the CD34 number. And they're able to look at that when they do my blood work. And yesterday, my CD34 number was 20, I'm sorry. And that's as a result of all those Neupogen shots that I was getting every single day for the past week. And I got another one yesterday, another one today. The Neupogen forces me to make white blood cells as well as stem cells. But today, after I did my blood work, my CD34 number skyrocketed to 103, which I guess is a pretty rare number and very high, which is a really good sign that I was able to make all those stem cells. Making millions of stem cells. Chicka, chicka, yeah. So hopefully we'll get this done in one day. They had told me that the stem cell collection process could take from just 1 up to 6 days. So it's looking really promising for me, and I'm very proud of my bone marrow for making all those cells. I feel good. I really never got the wrenching bone pain that they had told me about. Everyone here keeps asking me, how do you not have bone pain when your numbers shot up that much? But I don't know. I guess I'm pretty lucky. Now I feel good being hooked up to this. Yesterday I was very tired, very lethargic. It was a lot. Yesterday we were here for almost 12 hours once it was all said and done. And I wasn't allowed to eat until very late in the afternoon because of the Quinton procedure, and they didn't know if I would need sedation. So yesterday was pretty rough, but once I've had these 2 units of red blood cells infused, that really helped to get my energy level back, and now I can eat like a normal person again, which certainly helps. I was ready to eat my own arm off yesterday, and I was very weak. Like I said, today, a lot more energy. Really, this is not a painful process at all. I don't feel a thing as it's going through me. Just a little bit sore in the neck from the catheter placement because I had to have my head turned the whole time, and so my muscles are a little sore, but they redid the dressing today and it's not as constricting, which is helpful because it was a little difficult to sleep last night. But overall, things are looking good. I will definitely have to be in tomorrow because they won't know exactly how many million stem cells are in that bag until they're able to run that tomorrow morning. And no matter what, I'll have to come in and get this Quinton catheter taken out, which I'm excited about. I don't want to have this in here for too many days. And then I'll have really the rest of this week off to recoup and get my strength back still from after the last ice round. And then I'll come in next week. I'll get a PET scan, which will be hugely important. Hopefully that's totally clear and it shows that I'm in remission, because that'll kind of determine the next course of treatment, whether we jump into the high-dose chemo or whether we do another mini stem cell transplant. So there's still some variables. And the next day I'll have to come back here to Yale and I'll have to get all different tests of my heart and my lungs and all those types of functions to make sure that I'm strong enough for the high-dose chemo. And then I'll meet with my new oncologist, Dr. Cooper, to go over the PET scan results. So that's where I'm at. We've learned an awful lot about the human body and the circulatory system and blood cells, and it's been quite a fascinating education. It's really interesting, and I just feel so grateful that I have this technology that's going to save me.